Starting on the 2-minute mark. We're about 7 or 8 seconds in. 2-minute mark. A nice little rant by yours truly. I don't know why I make these videos. Just things hit me and suddenly I just want to, it's like go time. You know, when you get hit with something that you're inspired by, an idea, and you're like, wow, it lights up the firecrackers in your brain, and you got to do something with it and have an outlet to express it somehow. Well, this is my outlet of choice right now. So we're going to start in a minute and a half. 1.5 minutes, or a little less than that now. Facebook is letting me know that they're spreading the word that I'm going to be live, and that it may take a minute. Well, that's good, because I'm giving it 2 minutes. I'm in my backyard, if anyone's curious. We're starting in about 1 minute. You see squirrels and rabbits frolicking. One of them's looking at me right now. It's like, what are you up to? His name is Skip. All those squirrels in my yard, their name is Skip. He's just staring at me. Welcome, my early viewers. About 45 seconds until I get started. Squirrels over there, that's what I'm looking at. They're pretty cute. I just want to go pet them. They're just so cute. Alright, we're going to start in about 30 seconds. I don't really know what I'm going to say yet. It's just going to be totally off the cuff. I know what I'm going to talk about. Just don't know what I'm going to say yet. About 20 seconds. Thanks for the early likes. Feel free to tap the love button. Because the love button is pretty cool that they added that. They should add a kiss button. You can send kisses that way. Does Facebook have a suggestion box? Anyway, so it's about 2 minutes, so we're going to get started. So let's go. Feel free to comment and discuss with me, because that's what makes these live feeds so much fun versus just recordings where we can't interact, and now we can, which makes it even better. So, money doesn't make you rich or poor, just like the title says. What the freak do I mean by that? So consider this. Imagine that this box of money fell from the sky and landed right in your lap, and there's $1 million in it. Or maybe something more practical. Let's say you inherited $1 million from your long lost uncle that you never knew anything about. So you get this new money and it's gone. Probably within a few years, certainly within half of a generation, it's all gone. It's all gonna go right back into the hands of people that are more financially intelligent than you are. Why? Because you never gained any new skills to keep it or make it anyway. For like a lot of people, if they come into a lot of money, they think, okay, I need to put it into a savings account because that's a good place to put it, or put it into a CD. Savings accounts and CDs are actually designed to literally and legally take your money from you and put it back into the pockets of people that are more financially savvy than you. So you will never find Tom Birkenmeyer putting his money into a savings account or a CD, except there's one exception, a temporary holding place, because I've got some other plans to move it very quickly before the tax year is over. But I'll never keep it there. Never, ever, ever, ever. Just a temporary place to pay bills and put it somewhere else. Like, that's like the ultimate thing to do with it. So, and here's another example. Like, let's say, well, let's use the example of most people. Most people aren't going to have $1 million that's just going to fall into their lap, right? So I have a friend who is probably relatable to just about everybody, and that is, she was $500,000 in debt. So maybe you can't relate to that number, but everybody can relate to being in debt or living paycheck to paycheck and barely getting by or being a little underwater in those things. Well, she's sort of like an extreme example of what everybody can relate to. She was $500,000 in debt. She was living in a house that she was underwater on. She owed more on it than her house was worth. Her house is falling apart, big expensive repairs that she couldn't afford to take care of because her only source of income was that of making scraps as a cocktail waitress. And the problems just went on and on and on. And one day she just said to herself, this is crazy. I have to start figuring out a way to do better than what I'm doing now. She started asking questions. She said, what can I do to solve these problems? Get out of debt and make more money than that, scraps of a cocktail waitress. And when she started asking those questions, an amazing thing happened. And this is like pivotal. She started this unbelievable search. It unleashed the power of her brain to be creative and get outside of the box that most people are living in as far as how they respond to their problems. Like, 49 out of 50 people, like 98% of the population who's broke or living paycheck to paycheck, is going to look at their bank statement and go, yep, I'm broke. That's it. And that's it. And they stay there. Well, that was my friend who was doing that for a while until she had this epiphany where she stopped making those statements and she said, okay, I'm broke, but what can I do about it? I'm going to start searching for answers. So then she started searching for answers. Her brain just opened up this whole new doorway of possibility, and she found some answers, like big time. She actually paid off $500,000 worth of debt. She didn't file for bankruptcy and do the irresponsible thing. She was responsible. She found some answers and she paid it off, every last penny of it. And she didn't do that as a cocktail waitress making scraps, believe me. She found some different opportunities to massively increase her income. And she never went to college. And she didn't have any kind of a background or any kind of a standing to be able to create any kind of big success. But she did it anyway. She just figured it out. And this is a girl who is like, she's an extreme example of where most people are at. So it's like, I love her story because if she can do it, anybody could. She didn't have the education or the background or the connections or the standing or any of those things, and she figured it out anyway. So she's like worse off than you watching this video, and she figured it out. How freaking sweet is that? I think that's pretty awesome. She was way worse off than me when I got started. And same thing with her health too. She had these health problems, and she's like, I got to figure this stuff out. So whenever we start asking questions, like we replace the statements. That's step number one. You got to stop making the statements going, yep, I'm unhealthy, I'm broke, I can't do this because of that. But when we start replacing those stupid statements with questions like, how can I do this? What has to change inside of me? What skills do I need to get? What do I need to be able to blah, 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 blah? How can I figure this out? Then at that point, that's when everything starts to change. It's like we start to tap into our free-thinking, critical faculties, and we're no longer lazy in learning. It's like, and when we're no longer lazy in learning, we tap into this unbelievable potential of our human brain to get creative and go outside of the box of where everyone else is living to find solutions, because all the best solutions are outside of the box, like every time. And whenever somebody says, I can't fill in the blank, I can't afford, I don't have time, I can't because I don't have the support in my family, what you're communicating to yourself and the rest of the world is, I lack the creativity and ingenuity to figure shit out. So I'm just going to make statements because I'm a lazy thinking person. And that's bullshit. At your core, you're not a lazy thinking person. That's just a stupid facade you actually give yourself to justify your excuses and to justify quitting on anything that you might have started. You can't ever just leave it as an excuse, and you can't ever just leave it at quitting something. You need to do the mental gymnastics in your brain to come up with the rationale behind quitting and the rationale behind your statements that you make so that you can live with yourself. It's all about protecting your ego, and that's your priority when you make statements like that. Anytime you say, I can't, fill in the blank, anytime you make a statement like that, it's all about protecting your ego from taking a hit, because that's your priority, is to protect your ego. Your priority isn't to make a difference, no matter how much you say it is, to help other people. It's not. Your priority is always to protect your ego from hurting. So the solution to all of this, and being a free-thinking person and tapping into your critical thinking faculties, is to switch that stupid priority from protecting your ego and the preservation of your self-image to making a difference. You flip that switch, and now the statements stop. You can't say things like, I can't because I can't afford it, I don't have time, I don't have the support in my family, and this and that, because now it's no longer about you and your ego. You flipped the switch. Now it's about making a difference. So now you're going to start asking questions. Okay, this is ridiculous. What can I do? How can I? What do I need? What do I need to go after? And you start asking those kinds of questions that unleashes the power of your magnificent brain to go out there and start finding solutions, just like my friends did that I was telling you about, just like I have. That's the switch that has to happen. Freedom of your mind always precedes all other freedoms. And to do that, you have to flip the switch from making your ego a priority to making a difference a priority. Then everything else can turn on. You become a free person, and you start to find solutions to your problems, and you start to impact positively other people around you, and you give up your dumb, stupid ego. Because sometimes it comes down to this. Do you want a big ego, or do you want a big bank account? Big ego, small bank account. Little ego, big bank account. You can't have both. You have to pick one. Same thing with your health. Do you want a big ego trip, or do you want to get healthy? You have to pick one. You can't have both. Do you want to make a difference in other people's lives, or do you want a big ego? You have to pick one. You can't have both. All of those things harmoniously work together. Does that make any sense? So it's never money that makes somebody rich or poor. It's a person's brain that makes somebody rich or poor. You could be $500,000 in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, or worse, you could be homeless. And you can be rich, which means you're going to be rich on paper too. Once you make that switch in your brain, it's like, okay, I'm homeless. I live in a cardboard box. I don't know what I'm going to do about my next meal. I got to figure this shit out. And slowly but surely you start finding solutions, because now you've unleashed the power of your human brain to start figuring shit out and finding solutions. And then first, if you're that far off, then first it's like your first tier needs: shelter, food, safety. And then once you figure that out, it's like, okay, I got shelter, food, safety. Now I'm going to make sure that never happens again. I need to start figuring more stuff out and go to the next level and then make a better income this time, make some better decisions than I did in the past, so that never happens to me again. And then you start solving those problems, and your brain is always going to find the answers, because your brain is powerful. Unless you quit, and that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people don't even get started, which is all about their ego. And of the people that get started, most people will quit on whatever it is, because that's what the ego does. And whether you're quitting after getting started, or you don't even get started, it's always about you, and that's where your ego is your priority versus making a difference. So you flip that. It's no longer about you. You're going to figure it out, and you won't quit. You'll get started, and you won't quit, and you'll make it eminent that you'll always find solutions no matter how dire your problems are. And that's it. So this is probably the most unpopular live feed I've ever done, because I only see like 3 or 4 viewers. If I do one about cute kittens and stuff like that, then it's always got, those are more popular. Like if I do live feeds that doesn't like make a difference to anybody's world, then those are always going to be the most popular ones. But a video like this is always the least popular. So kudos to you 3 or 4 people that's actually watching. And that is very much in alignment with, like, there's only about 2% of the population that taps into their free-thinking critical faculties. Only about 2% of the population is not controlled or manipulated through the dependency of money to pay their bills. The 98% of the population absolutely controlled and manipulated by the dependency of money to pay their bills, and they cannot be bothered with a live feed like this. They just can't. They're so bored, and they'll spend all their time bitching about all their problems, and God forbid somebody has a solution, the 98%. They'll get uncomfortable with the solution because it fucks up their plan to bitch about their problems. So it's like, kudos to you, the 2%ers out there that appreciate a message like this. That's actually pretty cool, and I just wanted to recognize you for it. So that concludes my talk for now. I told you it was going to be kind of a rant video, not really structured or anything like that. But that was it. So now I'm going to scroll up, see what people are saying, and if there's anything you want me to elaborate on, or if there's a comment you have or something you want to talk about or mention, go for it. So far, just lots of support that I'm reading as I'm scrolling this. Bank account health. Nobody has any questions so far. Cool. Thanks for the support, everyone. Okay. Sonia, Sunny Young. I agree that your funds are probably safer in your penny drawer than an IRA. Sometimes we have to go through the flame to be purified and rise again. Goals with timelines have always worked for me. Gotta tap to see more. Have always worked for me. Challenge yourself always, no matter what the age. IRAs. The thing about retirement funds, whether it's an IRA, traditional Roth, or any pension or retirement savings, is that those are designed to, first of all, literally legally steal your money from you. And every retirement plan, bar none, is designed to help you retire poorer than you were when you were working. And you will not find that in mainstream media teachings. You certainly won't find it in our public school system, because their advice is to tell you to set up a retirement fund, a nest egg, and all these other things. If you want to retire, it depends on what your goals are. If you want to retire poorer than you were when you were working, retirement plans are a great idea for you. But if you want to retire richer than you were when you were working, that is really bad advice. All retirement plans are bad advice if you want to retire richer than you were when you were working. And that goes back to money will always transfer from the financially unintelligent to the financially intelligent people. And the financially intelligent people don't learn about money from our public school system. That's important. You have to get outside of the box to learn about money. My favorite place is going to be richdad.com. Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's what he's mostly known for. I've read almost all of his books, and I've taken a lot of his courses, and I've even seen him speak in person. He's my personal favorite. He's very out of the box. But if you get all of your financial education from our school system, then what you're learning is to be an obedient worker the rest of your life, and you're learning to be controlled and manipulated through the dependency of money for the rest of your life. And you're learning things like savings accounts and CDs, which really transfers your money from you to people that are richer than you. And that entire school system, the public education system, is created by the Rothschilds, the JP Morgans, the Rockefellers. In 1903, the richest banks in the world took over the School Board of Education, and they've had it ever since 1903. So they have a profit motive to keep you financially stupid. So don't get your financial education from our public school system, because you will be financially stupid, and you will unknowingly always transfer your money to people that aren't financially stupid. So you have to get outside of our public school system to learn about money. And if you ever have any ambitions to no longer live under the thumb of other people, if you have any ambitions in the future to never be under the control and the manipulation of the dependency of money to pay your bills, you have to learn outside of our public school system, period. Exactly, Adrian. Never say I can't afford it. Say how can I afford it? And then you start unleashing the power of your brain to search for answers. And you'll find them, as long as you don't quit. And for any of that to work, you have to make the priority about making a difference and not about protecting your ego. Big, big deal. All right, let me scroll back up and get caught up. What are your suggestions on getting the ball rolling when you're so screwed on so many levels? Health, money, ectopic, as something you don't want everyone to know. I mean, some things you don't want to, okay. Well, I can't speak for other people, but I know that whatever your situation is, the first thing is you have to replace statements that you're making about your situation with questions. Period. I've never walked in your shoes. I've never walked in anybody's shoes except my own. I have the power of empathy for people who's walked a similar path as me. And then there's other people I have no empathy for because I've never experienced anything that they're experiencing. But I do know one thing for sure that's true for everybody, whether I can relate to you or not, is whatever your challenges are, you have to replace the statements with questions. Like, instead of, I can't because, you have to replace that with, I have this going on, what can I do to solve it? How can I? And then start that search for answers, and it's probably going to be different for everyone. But I can't give you specifics because I don't know. Teach me about money. Adrian, I recommend richdad.com. That's where I get my financial education from, and I'm living proof. I'm a great testimonial to that site, by the way, richdad.com. I mean, once upon a time, I was, almost homeless. I had no income, not even unemployment, no food stamps. I literally had no source of money coming in, and I was scared to death. I was looking at the possibility of possibly becoming homeless. And then I started looking at the Rich Dad stuff, and I made some very different decisions that I had made in my past. And just a few years later, I buy a house in cash, no mortgage. Most people never own their home. They finance it. A lot of people refinance and all these other things. I was only 32 years old when I bought my house in cash. It was just a couple years later after I had no income and I was almost homeless. And I've done a lot of other things too. And I fired my boss. I I don't need a job anymore. I'll never have a job again. I haven't had a job in 10 years now. How cool is that? Because I follow the rich teachings. I'm not following our public school system teachings about money. I'm following richdad.com teachings about money. That's what allowed me to go from a place of no income, no house, to buying a house in cash and no longer needing a job anymore, retiring myself, is because of the richdad.com education. So I recommend their books and their classes, and anything they do is good in my opinion. But again, that depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to be poor, follow the advice of mainstream media and our public school system. Okay, any other questions or comments you guys have? This is really cool. Even though there's only like 3 people viewing, the comments and the questions have been really interactive and great. But I am going to end this video as soon as it's run its course, because I don't want to keep it going if a dead spot gets too long. Like right now we're in a dead spot for about a minute. So I'll give it another minute, if that, and then I'll end it. So yeah, maybe about 30 more seconds. If there's nothing else, then this video has run its course. Let's see, I'm homeschooling Cambry this year. I will research richdad.com and implement your life skills. Cool, Vicky. Awesome. I'll give you a basic thing of Rich Dad right now, not to be a spoiler, but according to Rich Dad, and I agree with this because I'm living proof of it, but there's 4 different people that make up the world of money. 4 different kinds of people. So you have employees, you have self-employed acts, and this is the poor column. These are poor people. Employees and the self-employed solo acts, all poor, because they're controlled and manipulated through the dependency of money. Therefore, they're poor. They have no freedom. And then there's the business owners and investors. Those are the rich people, because they're the ones that's developing residual and passive income to detach themselves from this neediness for a paycheck, so that they are no longer controlled or manipulated through the dependency of money. Therefore, they can spend their time however the flip they want. And that's freedom. That's our values. That's also security. And the illusion that the employee and solo people have is that I have a job because I need a safe, secure, steady income for my family. That's an illusion. You have no security, no stability, no control whatsoever. That is an unforgivable lie that you've been sold to at your job, that it's safe and secure, reliable, even intelligent. Job money is income for dummies. Not saying you're dumb, it's just a dumb way of thinking that your job is secure, safe, and even a legitimate source of income. Here's why. You have to perpetually give up your time for it. It's hamster wheel money. When that hamster stops working hard, gets off his wheel, it stops. It's done. Therefore, you're completely controlled and manipulated through the dependency of money, or you can't pay your bills. Also, it's an income that you have no control over. You do not own nothing. If you have no control over it, that means it's high risk. The less control you have over something, the higher the risk. And since you have 0 control over it, it is the highest risk on planet Earth. So you really should change whatever the title is of your job title from that to professional gambler, because that's what you are. You're a professional gambler with your job money that you depend on for your income. No safety at all. And that's the illusion that's sold to, and unfortunately bought by 98% of the population believes that garbage. So the business owner and investor, because they're building residual and passive income, getting away from being controlled and manipulated through the dependency of money, and it's something they have complete 100% control over. Therefore, they assert 100% control. There's virtually 0 risk. It is the least amount of risk possible on planet Earth. That is where the real security and stability comes in for somebody and their family. It's on the business owner and investment side. And so the thing that the employee always says when they're even looking at something like this is, I don't know anything about business or investing. And then they don't do it. Well, how fucking lazy does somebody have to be to say that they're just going to relinquish all their ability to learn something new and just say, I can't do it. I mean, that is so pathetic. It's like, you might as well just remove your testicles if you're a guy, or take out your big brass ovaries if you're a woman, if you're just unwilling to learn new things. So it's like, anybody can draw a line in the sand and make a different decision and change their mind. You've done it before. You've changed your mind on anything that you wanted to change your mind on before, right? And you've learned new skills. Oftentimes you've learned new skills that kept you enslaved to money, but nonetheless, you've proven that you can learn new skills. Maybe if you learn a different set of skills that would be more serving to you, so that you could emerge at some point in the future a free human being, no longer controlled and manipulated through the dependency of money anymore, maybe that would be better for you and your family. So think about that when you look at business and investing. I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to do it. Stop being a frickin' pussy and learn about it. You've learned about new things before in the past. It would be so much more serving to you and your family if you learned about something new this time that could completely separate you from this neediness and this codependency on a stupid paycheck from your job that has you completely controlled and manipulated for the dependency of that money, or you can't pay your bills anymore. Doesn't that sound like so much more fun and so much more stress relief and more peace if you learned something new that could do that for you and your family? I think so. I mean, that's such a softball down the middle. Of course you said yes. So it's like, okay then get started. Start learning about it. And that could be as easy as go to google.com and start doing some keyword searches for passive income and residual income and start learning about it. And when you learn about something that really resonates with you, then act on it, because knowledge is the potential of power. If knowledge were power, which it's not, we wouldn't have so many damn educated derelicts in this country. There's so many smart people who are doing nothing with it. So knowledge is not power, it's the potential of power. Action is power. But action could kill you or it could make you. So that's why you gotta learn and be in love with learning new stuff every day, so that you can do some action that makes you and doesn't break you, so to speak. When I said the P word a few minutes ago, I noticed a few people dropped off the live feed. It's alright, I'm gonna be myself. Someone once told me that I should start acting a little bit differently, and I'm like, wait a second, you're telling me I gotta start relinquishing some of my authenticity to appear to be more authentic? Huh, well, if I felt that way, I'd just go back and get another job like every other sucker working for a paycheck. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm gonna be me and attract who I'm supposed to attract. So there you have it. I'm just saying. And by the way, thank you for getting me off on all these tangents, people. Tangents about stuff you want to hear about, so that's pretty cool. A very legitimate question pops up when somebody has no money. It's like, what do? I don't have any money. That's just a fact of the fact of the fact. Okay, totally cool. But you don't say that you can't do something because you don't have money. It just means, be honest, okay, I don't have any money. The next thing is, what can I do about it? How can I get more money? Well, that was the beginning of my journey, and I came up with 31 ways of raising money without having any. Everyone says that you need money to make money. That's not true. That's not true at all. That's another lie that's been perpetuated that most people subscribe to. And it's great for no longer having to think. It's like, if you really believe you need money to make money, then you can just give up the search right now for answers. You don't have to think. You can be lazy in your brain, and you can be a total sucker for those people at the top of the pyramid that need you to be an obedient worker. That's probably where that lie started, where the people at the top of the pyramid that you work for at your job, like your boss's 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 boss, somewhere way up there that lie was started, that you need money to make money. And that was perpetuated on purpose, to keep you from searching for answers. It's to keep you an obedient servant, obedient worker to the dollar. So, if I continued to subscribe to that nonsensical idea that you need money to make money, which I used to, but then I started asking questions, okay, I don't have any income. I'm going to be homeless someday maybe. What can I do about it? If I didn't start doing that, I would not have come up with 31 ways to raise money without having any. 31 ways that you can make money and you don't need money to do it. It's true. And then, because of the teacher's heart in me, I went back and I documented all those 31 ways, and I put together a really good audio file where I just go one right after another, 31 ways that you can start making money without having any money. And you can get that if you go to my website. It's fireyourboss.xyz. Just scroll down on the right column and you'll see it. Fireyourboss.xyz. It's not .com. It's a .xyz. I know it's a force of habit to go to .com, but just trust me. Go to fireyourboss.xyz, scroll down, right-hand column. You'll see 31 ways to raise money. And all of it is, I don't sell it. I give it away for free. And I'm asked how I can afford to do that. It's because I'm not an employee. If I had a job, I couldn't afford to work for free because I need that paycheck to pay my bills. So I don't have a job. So I'm covered. Don't worry about me. I'm covered. I can give stuff. I can afford to work for free and give stuff like this away. So just go there. And even if it's not a concern of yours, go there anyway. I bet you know people who would love to know about 31 ways to raise money without having any. I bet you know dozens of people that could really get a benefit from that. So go there anyway and share it with them. You could save somebody's life, literally, by giving them that list of 31 ways to raise money without having any. There are so many people that are underwater, let alone living paycheck to paycheck. And you know it. Okay, scroll up again and get caught up. Let's see here. Rich Dad. Yep, I see other people who also enjoy Rich Dad. Cool. Teach me about money. Okay, I'm getting caught up now. Rich Dad on Planet. Cool. Anyone who's been in the workforce any length of time should have a sense of this. I certainly did. The day I felt so trapped and controlled. Yeah, having a job, it literally traps and controls you because you're dependent on that money to pay your bills. It's not a good place to be. And they need obedient workers. You need a paycheck. It's a bad deal for you. Exactly, so refreshing to hear a younger person who is so awake. Our education system is in trouble. No doubt. I have taught college for over 2 decades now and have seen such crazy changing shifts. In higher ed, and the demands and pressures on teachers to retain students for the future funding is nuts. I believe lifelong education is important, but it should be affordable. My son has $70,000 in college debt and is a ranger in Texas. He will be paying this debt for half his life, and it's not dischargeable. Okay, so here's something about college debt. It's about the only kind of debt that is not excusable, meaning that if you file for bankruptcy, it excuses just about every other kind of debt except student loan debt. And not that I'm for or against bankruptcy or anything like that. But, okay, so here's the deal about school. This is just my opinion. But school is not going to teach you anything about how to support yourself. It's great for learning a skill or a trade. Like if you want to be an engineer, you got to go to college. Cool. You want to be a teacher, got to go to college. Cool. Scientist, doctor, lawyer, got to go to college. Cool. And that's a good thing. But as far as learning how to provide for yourself and for your family, how to make money, if you follow what they're teaching in college, you will live and die an obedient worker, controlled and manipulated through the dependency of money over debts that you will probably never pay off and that you cannot excuse. That's the way that it is. So go to college to learn the trade of a teacher, lawyer, doctor, engineer, something that requires college. Go to college to learn those things. But you had better in your spare time start a business that you can do in your spare time and start building residual and passive money, because if you don't, you're probably going to be in debt the rest of your life and controlled and manipulated through the dependency of money. The aim to be a free person is you build a residual and passive income that exceeds all of your expenses, living and luxury. Once you cross that threshold of covering all of your expenses, living and luxury through passive and residual income, that's the moment, the precise moment, you become a free human being. You're no longer chained to the dollar. You're no longer controlled and manipulated through the dependency of money because you're covered. You can do whatever you want to do, go to school, pay off your loans. You can have a job doing whatever you want to do, but you're not controlled and manipulated by that anymore for the purpose of making a buck to pay your bills. That's the difference maker. And they don't teach that in college. What time is it? Right now it's 10:18 Central Standard Time. September 5th. Happy Labor Day, Vicky. Have fun running, Vicky. See you soon. Glad you love my feeds. Okay, I'm all caught up on this now. So I'll give it a half a minute. Maybe this has run its course, but if there's nothing else in, say, the next 20, 30 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and end this live feed. And I'm timing it. Even though this is one of the smallest audiences I've ever had, wow, the comments and the questions have been really great. Comments and the questions have been really fantastic. And I'm going to go about 10 more seconds, and I'm going to end this if there's nothing else. I think it's run its course. And that's it. So feel free to share this. And my website, fireyourboss.xyz. XYZ, not .com. Have a great day, Tammy. Fireyourboss.xyz. And that's it. Looking forward to doing another one of these videos. Maybe at some point a video message like this will be popular enough to get more than a few views. We shall see. I'm going to keep doing them because they're fun. And you guys get something out of it. So that's just awesome. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. Mwah. Oh, if you're one of the 1 out of 50 people that actually made it to the end of this video, tag me on my Facebook timeline telling me that you made it to the end of this ridiculous video. I would get a certain tickle out of that because I think that's pretty neat. Bye for now.